6,000 years ago, the world was a very different place. Imagine yourself stepping into a time where no cars, no phones, no electricity, and no tall buildings existed. The air was fresh, the nights were darker than we can imagine today, and the sound of nature filled every corner. Life was simple but also hard, because people had to fight daily for survival. In this ancient world, the first great steps of human civilization were being written. People lived mostly in small villages near rivers. Rivers were the lifeline of early humans. They gave them water to drink, fertile land to grow food, and fish to eat. Families built small houses made of mud, clay, and straw. These houses were not strong like our modern buildings. They could be washed away by heavy rains or destroyed by strong winds. But they were homes, warm and filled with the smell of firewood and the sound of children running barefoot on the ground. At this time, farming had already started to change human life. Before farming, people were hunters and gatherers, moving from place to find food. But 6,000 years ago, many people had begun to stay in one place. They grew wheat, barley, and lentils. They kept goats, sheep, and cows for milk and meat. Farming meant food could be stored, and when food was stored, more people could live together. This was the beginning of villages turning into towns, and towns later becoming cities. The tools they used were simple but smart. Farmers used wooden plows pulled by oxen to break the soil. Stone and copper tools were common, sharp enough to cut wood or harvest crops. Fire was the center of daily life. It gave warmth on cold nights, light in the dark, and cooked the food they worked so hard to produce. In every village, smoke from small fires could be seen rising into the sky at sunset as families gathered to eat together. Life was not easy. There were no hospitals or modern medicines. If someone got sick, they had to rely on herbs, prayers, and the knowledge passed down from elders. Childbirth was dangerous, and many people did not live long lives. The average person might live only 30 to 40 years. But despite the challenges, life was full of meaning. People worked together, cared for each other, and slowly built the foundations of human culture. Religion and beliefs were very strong. People looked at the sky full of stars and wondered who created them. They saw the sun rise every morning and disappear at night, and they believed powerful gods controlled it. They prayed for rain, for good harvests, and for protection from storms. In some areas, temples began to rise, made of stone and mud brick, where priests led ceremonies to honor the gods. Statues of strange half-human, half-animal figures were carved, symbolizing mysteries beyond human understanding. These early beliefs gave people hope and answers to the questions of life and death. Around this time, some of the first great civilizations began to appear. In Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, people built the earliest known cities. They invented writing by pressing symbols into clay tablets. This writing, called cuneiform, recorded trade, taxes, and stories. Imagine a world where for the first time, human thoughts could be saved not just in memory, but in writing. This was the birth of history itself. Farther away in ancient Egypt, people settled along the Nile River. The Nile flooded every year, leaving behind rich soil perfect for farming. Egyptians built villages that slowly grew into cities, and soon after, into a great civilization. The pyramids had not been built yet 6,000 years ago, but the skills and organization that would one day build them were already forming. People learned to measure land, to track time with calendars, and to honor their dead with careful burials. In South Asia, near the Indus River, farming communities were forming that would later become the great Indus Valley civilization. They planned towns with streets and wells, showing early signs of urban life. In China, along the Yellow River, farmers planted millet and raised pigs, while in the Americas, people began to grow maize and beans. Step by step, across the world, small groups of humans were starting their journey into organized societies. Daily life for most people was simple but filled with hard work. Men and women both worked in the fields, while children helped with animals or carried water from rivers. Clothing was made from wool, flax, or animal skins, and often dyed with natural colors. Jewelry was common too, made from shells, bones, or simple stones, showing that even in struggle, humans never forgot beauty. Trade was another important part of life. People exchanged goods like grain, cloth, pottery, and metals. Traders walked long distances, carrying items on their backs or using donkeys. Villages connected with other villages, and slowly, roads of communication were formed. Along with trade, ideas and stories also traveled, spreading knowledge and culture far beyond their original homes. At night, after the hard day's work, people gathered around fires. Stories were told, music was played with drums and flutes, and children listened with wide eyes to tales of gods, heroes, and monsters. These stories passed from generation to generation, keeping history alive even before writing was common. Firelight flickered on the mud walls as laughter and songs echoed into the darkness of the night. The world itself was wilder. Forests were thick, animals roamed freely, and danger was never far. Wolves, lions, and bears lived much closer to humans than today. Hunting was still part of survival, and hunters showed great courage in facing wild animals with only spears and bows. The bond between humans and animals also grew stronger. Dogs, already domesticated for thousands of years, guarded homes and helped in hunting. Cats began living near human settlements, protecting grain from mice. The seasons ruled human life. When spring came, seeds were planted. In summer, crops grew tall under the burning sun. Autumn was the time of harvest, with festivals to thank the gods for food. Winter was harsh when people huddled together, burning wood and hoping their stored grain would last until the next planting season. Each year was a cycle of survival, teaching humans patience, hope, and resilience. But not everything was peaceful. Conflicts over land, water, and resources also began. Without strong laws, fights between villages were common. Spears, axes, and simple shields were used in battles. Though these wars were small compared to today, they shaped human history by forcing groups to unite, defend, and grow stronger together. 6,000 years ago, the first foundations of humanity's greatest achievements were being laid. Farming, writing, religion, and cities. All of these were starting to rise. The people of that time could not imagine our modern world, but without them, our modern world would not exist. Their simple lives, their struggles, and their dreams lit the first sparks of civilization, a fire that still burns brightly today. This was life 6,000 years ago, a world of rivers and fields, of mud huts and firelight, of gods and mysteries, of danger and hope. It was a world where the journey of human history had only just begun.